What if I told you that the outcome of Europe's greatest war wasn't decided only on the battlefield, but in a dimly lit office, by a family that most people never saw? Napoleon Bonaparte commanded armies, kings ruled nations, generals moved millions. But behind all of them, there was money, and behind the money, there was information. And behind the information was one family, sending messages faster than any government, faster than any army, faster than any king. They didn't wear crowns. They didn't sit on thrones. They didn't fire a single cannon. Yet when the smoke cleared from Europe's most important battle, they were the biggest winners in the entire continent. Who were they really? And did the most powerful man in Europe truly underestimate them? This is the true story of the Rothschild family, and how money defeated an empire. Europe on the edge. To understand this story, you must understand Europe around the year 1800. Europe was not peaceful. It was a battlefield. France, led by Napoleon Bonaparte, was rising fast. He wasn't just a general, he was a visionary, a dictator, a reformer, and a conqueror. His goal, to control Europe. He defeated enemies again and again. Austria, Prussia, Italy, Spain. He broke empires that had existed for centuries. So the question became, how do you stop an army that cannot be stopped? The answer was not just soldiers. It was gold. War is expensive. Weapons, food, horses, uniforms, ships, all require funds. And Britain, Napoleon's greatest enemy, needed enormous amounts of money to survive. This is where the Rothschild family entered history. From a small shop to a secret network, the Rothschild story begins in Frankfurt, Germany. In a narrow street called the Judengasse lived a man named Mayer Amschel Rothschild. He wasn't born into power. He wasn't royalty. He started as a simple coin dealer and money changer. But Mayer had something far more powerful than gold. He had a system. He sent his 5 sons to the most important cities in Europe: Amsel, Frankfurt, Solomon, Vienna, Nathan, London, Karl, Naples, James, Paris. This wasn't random. This was the first international private banking network in modern history. While kings took weeks to send letters, the Rothschilds had family in every capital. While countries struggled with slow information, they had brothers sending coded messages multiple times a day. Information meant power. Power meant opportunity. An opportunity meant money. Then came war. When empires tried to control money, many rulers tried to weaken banking power. Some created central banks, some created regulations. Some turned to nationalism, some banned foreign financiers. But a pattern repeated. When governments printed too much money, inflation exploded. When governments borrowed too much, debt crushed them. When systems failed, bankers survived. This didn't make the Rothschilds magical. It proved a simple truth. Money doesn't follow power. Power follows money. Rome fell when its currency collapsed. Spain declined when gold lost value. Germany collapsed in hyperinflation. Britain lost empire under massive debt. And Napoleon, he lost not only because of armies, but because his system could not outfinance his enemies. The same came in different layers today. Countries are in trillions of dollars of debt. The United States, over 30 trillion. Japan, over 250% debt to GDP. Many nations, more debt than wealth. Central banks print money, currencies lose value, and major financial families and institutions still influence nations. History didn't end. It upgraded. Wars are now economic, digital, financial, psychological. The battlefield is the market. And the average person often doesn't even realize the game is happening. Napoleon vs. the money system. As Napoleon expanded, Britain became desperate to stop him. But Britain faced a problem. It had no real way to send huge amounts of money safely across Europe. French armies blocked trade routes. French ships dominated many seas. This is when the British government quietly turned to Nathan Rothschild in London. Nathan didn't fight. He didn't command soldiers. He simply created a secret financial pipeline. He used couriers, hidden routes, ships, disguised agents, foreign contacts to move gold for the British government and their allies. The Rothschilds were not just bankers anymore. They had become the financial arteries of the war. Napoleon ruled land, but the Rothschilds controlled flow. And wars are won by flow. The Battle of Waterloo. In 1815, Napoleon returned from exile and prepared for a final strike. One last campaign. One last gamble. One final battle. Waterloo. Every emperor, king, banker, and nation waited to hear one question. Who won? There were no phones, no internet, no radios, just men, horses, and ships. But the Rothschilds had something unique. They had information routes faster than government mail. So when the battle ended, Nathan Rothschild in London received the message before most officials. Now, this is where myth and history split. Some stories claim Nathan manipulated the stock market after receiving the news. This extreme version is not proven by strong historical evidence. What is true? He had early information. He understood government bonds better than almost anyone. He was deeply connected to British finance. He positioned himself wisely after the war. The Rothschilds became one of the most powerful financial forces in Europe. Afterward, victory on the battlefield changed Europe, but victory in finance reshaped the next century. While empires fell, their bank rose. When the war ended, power shifted after Napoleon's defeat. France was weakened, Germany was reorganized. Kings returned to power, economies were destroyed, governments needed loans to rebuild. And the Rothschilds were ready. They financed railways, governments' infrastructure, nations in debt, post-war economies. They became the central nervous system of European money. They didn't control empires, they financed them. And when you finance power, you influence power. History changed from swords to signatures. 3 powerful takeaways. 1. Empires fall when their money fails, not when their armies lose. 2. Information is more powerful than weapons. 3. Those who understand finance shape history. Napoleon had conquered land, but the Rothschilds understood systems. And systems outlive soldiers. You may never own a country. You may never command an army. You may never lead a revolution. But you are living inside a system built by history's winners and losers. The question is, will you remain a pawn or learn the system? Because the next empire to fall might not be on a map. It could be in a bank, or even in your pocket. If you value true history, real power stories, and deep financial secrets of the past, then this channel is for you. Like this video, subscribe, and comment. History controls money because the past isn't gone. It's preparing the next collapse.